it's Romy. Welcome to my channel Aries. This is your June monthly reading. It is a general reading, so if you have Aries sun, rising or moon, it might resonate for you. If you're enjoying it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop me a like and a comment. If you want to join me for the extended reading, the link for it is in the description box underneath the video, or you can find it over on my website, which is romywyser.com. Really looking forward to seeing what's coming out for you this month of June, Aries. So let's get started. Okay, let's see how we can help you prepare for June's energy, Aries. So we're going to have 6 planets retrograde. Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter and Venus are already there. And then on June the 18th, Mercury is turning retrograde in the sign of Cancer, followed by Neptune retrograde in Pisces on the 23rd. We also have 2 eclipses taking place in June. The first is a partial lunar eclipse on the 5th of June in the sign of Sagittarius. And then on the 21st, we've got a solar eclipse in Cancer, which is also solstice. So a lot of shifts taking place energetically. And changes to come. So we open up your reading with 5 of Swords, Aries. Now, swords represent our thoughts, the intellect. And as we work through Gemini season, which is ruled by Mercury, and it all represents the way that we communicate, you know, and it's 3rd house, particularly for Aries rising, this energy for you. So I do think that you are in this time of soul review where you're thinking back over where you've had some setbacks, where there's been some disappointments, where you're feeling a little bit perhaps a bit lower in your energy, you know, over one particular area. Maybe you feel that some of the expectations that you'd held for this season haven't been fully realized, you know, maybe something that you were really hoping to happen hasn't quite come together yet. You know, now when we're particularly in this Venus retrograde, Cancer retrograde, you know, we can kind of find ourselves bumping up against a lot of energies, a lot of thought patterns. Remember, we're talking about what is going on within our mind right now, the way that we think, the way that we perceive information, and it isn't always representative of actually what the true facts are. And sometimes during retrograde season, that haze, that kind of confusing energy, that opportunity for things to be really misconstrued and misrepresented can come up quite strongly. So even though we're opening up this reading with the 5, I think the contrast of that is here to try to show you, try to guide you and instigate this opportunity to really think, you know, are the things that I'm taking on and kind of holding as a reason to be in a energy state that isn't serving me, are they really true? And what do they have to teach me? And how can I choose to think a different thought or choose to come at this from a new perspective? Okay, I just think it's here to be your guide, to be your teacher at the moment. Now that said, if you are kind of experiencing some kind of situation where you do feel that there has been a bit of a setback, remember with eclipse season, things can happen very quickly and very unexpectedly. So on the 5th of June, that Sagittarius lunar eclipse is in your 9th house, Aries, okay? Helping to open up new horizons to you, thinking about the way that you want to explore what comes next. And actually, I think a bit of a positive, optimistic boost to probably bring you out of that energy. So anything that has you feeling perhaps a little bit down and out or a little bit lower than you would like to be feeling. 2 of Wands I love for you because it puts you firmly back into the energy of starting to feel a little bit more in control and starting to think about some of the ideas, where you want to start prioritizing yourself, investing your energy and your time. Now we can see this figure is kind of like peering over the ledge here, down to kind of what he sees coming in. Okay, so it may well be that there is something that you're sensing or feeling coming towards you. Remember, Mercury moves into Cancer on the 4th of June and then it turns retrograde. With Mercury in Cancer, it's all about how we sense, how we feel, how we intuit emotions, and very much on the internal landscape. And when we're in retrograde, it's about what that means internally for us. So even though you may well be looking at what's coming up or coming towards you and perhaps be aware of some changes or some shifts, or, you know, really looking at how other people are behaving and acting right now, what we're really being invited to look at, what does that mean for me? Where does that place me in terms of my own journey, my own growth, my own understanding? You know, everything is a mirror right now, and we have a choice. We can stay in that kind of a Five of Swords energy, or we can look to the future. We can look from this new vantage point way out toward the horizon, and see what comes next for us. Now that Sagittarius lunar eclipse does have some opposing energies. So Venus and Mars are going to be square, and the moon is square to Mars as well. So there could be a little bit of frustration, rising frustration, and some agitation that comes up. Perhaps some blunt words are going to be said, and again, that may be where that Five of Swords are coming through. I think where that places you though, Aries, is in this place of almost just wanting to withdraw from the energy and step back from it, okay? You need to find some peace, and you need to find some solace. You're not really interested in engaging in any kind of conflict or stressful situations at the moment. If you are feeling particularly despondent, because I kind of get in the vibe from the 5 and the 4 that there's something that perhaps just hasn't come together yet, okay? Remember that we have something still to come that's not been revealed yet. His eyes are closed in this image, which indicates that you haven't yet really understood the full picture. You know, there's something that is set to reveal itself to you, and we are in very revelationary energy with both of these eclipses happening this month, you know. And when we have that solar eclipse in the sign of Cancer, it's in your 4th house, so it's really looking close to home, you know, within your family dynamic, within your home, where you know, your place of work. So big reveals to come in, and the opportunity to have a shift and something to be rebalanced in and around that. So if you feel a little bit of apathy, if you've got that sort of, you know, difficulty to really get going or really feel excited about something, and even if you're making plans, it may well be that you kind of get started on something and then quickly lose, you know, the energy, or lose the sort of interest in it. If that is the case, I think that energy is going to start to shift as we move toward the end of the month, because firstly we've got Venus moving direct on the 25th, which is absolutely going to help support where there have been some challenges in and around relationships for you. But also we've got Mars moving into your sign on the 28th, and that's going to be like an absolute restart moment for you, Aries, where you're really going to, I feel, pick up the pace and start to want to put things into action from that point forward. So take the time, you know, in that first half of the month to really understand what's going on within your own mindset, and take the time out if you need it to move away or step away from anything or anyone that feels like they're just not stepping up. You know, they're not delivering what you had anticipated. So another 4 coming through here, the 4 of coins showing up, and I think perhaps you're holding back, or you feel someone else is holding back emotionally. There may just be a little bit of fractious energy that's going on in that regard. But what I want to say from a perspective of those looking at this from a career, a work, a finances, this feels really favourable to me, because not only are you starting to plan and look ahead, you're actually starting to see where the potential opportunities are showing up. Now, absolutely, you're being careful, you're being mindful, and that's what retrograde can really help us with. It can allow us to go back over our plans and, you know, pick up where there might be any kind of, you know, loose ends to tie up, or kind of gaping holes in our strategy, or, you know, really figure out where we might need to be a bit more prudent with things. But it also shows me that there's set to have more abundance that's available to you, or is coming in. We're talking about more harmony, more balance showing itself. I think you need to be careful where you want to invest that, or what you're going to do with it. So again, you're having this invitation to you know, to step back and really take some time. Retrograde, not a great time to be signing anything or kind of pushing forward too much in starting things. Yeah, perhaps you might be revisiting old initiatives or ideas. Now, if we are looking at this from a relationship perspective, and you have felt disappointed with a particular connection, and you do feel that they have held back, or that the situation is just dragging, what we have coming in here is the card of Temperance. really anchoring your whole reading here right at the center, which is beautiful. These golden wings just coming in as a very protective energy. And I think that you need that. Perhaps if you have been wounded or there's some emotional trauma that you're still processing and dealing, we need some time out. We need some time to reflect and really think about what that means. It's also an indication that it's possibly not the right time to really jump into something, but actually to figure out if this is what you want, or this is something that you're deciding to kind of invite back into your life or to take to the next level. There also needs to be some discussion within yourself firstly, but also with that person about what adjustments and changes need to happen. Okay, really important that we have that open, honest communication. And again, it's at the planning stage right now through this month of June, because we have to be aware that with all of this changeable energy, right, feeling a little confusing, feeling quite nebulous at times, and then eclipse with those powerful moments of awakening that can take place, sometimes we can start down one path and then very quickly everything changes. So there's just a little bit of a energy to say, you know what, we're going to have to work and move with the the vibration as it changes in and around us, and the more kind of fluid and open you can be to that, the more helpful. Now, Temperance is ruled by Sagittarius, okay, so it could be a Sagittarius energy that you're dealing with, but also there's a link into that lunar eclipse for me. So I do feel that it is set to actually bring something up into the light that will be helpful and allow you to find some perspective and give you information about what you need to be able to move forward. So we have the Knight of Coins energy coming in here. Again, this could be an earth sign, a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. And what we see is that this Knight is looking directly towards I feel you represented here in the 4 Aries. So I have a sense that perhaps you're the one that's being a little bit guarded or held back or unsure, just waiting to see. Perhaps you've been hurt. Perhaps you're just wanting to be absolutely certain before you decide if this is the right move for you. That card of Temperance, holding space, okay? So I feel holding space between these two energies. So who this represents for you, I do see that they are, there's like an open quality here, okay? So it's somebody who has something to position with you. Now, Earth is slow moving, okay? So this isn't something I feel that we're going to see happen overnight. All right. And again, with a Knight energy, although it's something of value, we're not stepping forward with a kind of, that king or queen energy. So there's more work to do here is what I want to say. Remember, we talk about this kind of planning. And maybe that leaves you feeling a little bit like, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if that's really enough or what I want. But remember, there is something more to come here. So if this is representative of a professional opportunity, perhaps with the coins coming in here, I do feel there's a little bit of patience required till this situation starts to get moving again, okay? And there is this sense of needing to just be a little bit consistent in terms of what it is that you want and being able to express that. This energy of June can be very misrepresented in terms of what we say and how it comes across, okay? So you might find that people are just not getting what you're saying or vice versa. With this Knight though, I do feel that there's this element of loyalty that's being talked about or tried to be presented to you. Maybe that triggers you. Why would that trigger you? That's kind of what I'm getting. So maybe it feels like they haven't been loyal, or it's what you've been asking for a long time. I just think there's this theme or discussion around loyalty that feels important. Okay, you've got another 4 coming up, so these really strong in your reading today. 4 of Swords, where I feel like you just need this time to kind of withdraw from someone or something just to properly get your head straight on exactly how you feel. If you have been feeling really scattered and really kind of challenged with some of that Gemini energy,
and a little bit wired. I think that there are some very healing, soothing energies coming in for June with the Four of Cups, Temperance, and the Four of Swords that for me suggest a much more quiet, reflective vibe for you to be able to just kind of take stock. You might need that because some of these eclipses could just start to cause some real chaos in and around you. But again, you might be the one that's kind of seeing how that's playing out and actually removing yourself from the situation just so that you can find some peace and bring some balance back in. Even the Knight is actually coming in on quite a balanced energy. So, you know, overall with this vibe, I do feel quite earthy with it, and I think that's probably going to be welcome for some of you Aries, as you just need some time in this kind of preparatory season to sort of be able to step back out and into what life now looks like, kind of this post-lockdown, and really kind of feel your way forward. That's what Mercury in Cancer is really going to help us to do. So this card, Arise, is one of the two additional major arcana cards that the author of this, the creator of this particular deck, has brought through. It actually denotes the 13th zodiac sign, which, you know, whether you believe that to be true or not, but that's how this has been depicted by the creator. So for me though, this card Arise, which has shown up in a lot of the readings this month, is about this planning. It's about thinking about what you want for the future, weeding out anything that feels like it's just castles in the air, and that includes people or perhaps ideas that you've been working on for a long time and perhaps haven't gone anywhere, and now this is the time when I think you're really just ready to say, I just need to turn away from this. I need to put my energy into something that's going to be more favourable and just going to help drive me forward. I also think if it's regarding relationships, you're also just looking at something that is going nowhere and just feeling or making a decision that says it's not what I want, it's not what I need, and I'm looking for something that's got much more growth and sustainable for the future for me, and that's where I see you at with it. I also think there is a beautiful focus that's starting to come in for you. Again, as we move towards the end of the month, more likely as we invite that Venus direct and Mars and Aries energy for you. So pay attention to kind of what's showing up and coming in for you at the end of June. And here we have Ace of Cups. So there is this beautiful sense of renewal energy, and actually finally you kind of starting to see the potential with something with a bit of an air of excitement, actually. That's what I'm picking up with this, okay? So it could feel, as you move through June, it's a little bit slow, it's a little bit kind of monotonous at times, but then all of a sudden something is revealing itself to you, and you're gaining a little bit of curiosity as well about where it could take you or what the potential of something is, okay? So there's something really quite unexpected, but in a really lovely way, that I'm picking up with that Ace of Cups. With Temperance as well, I do sense that, you know, there are opportunities for some of you to make some really beautiful new introductions through this month of June and kind of into July. I just think perhaps you're going to be introduced, or you're just going to, there's a bit of synchronicity going on. I always think sometimes with eclipses, you know, that very fated energy, because I get this vibe of there being something quite unexpected, but it being a pleasant surprise for you just when you were kind of feeling a little bit like, I don't know how to make this work, or I don't know how to get out of this energy, or how to move forward. I also think some of you are turning your attention to kind of what your desire, what your passion, what your kind of real drive is at the moment. And that night bringing in some consistency, it's bringing in a bit of focus that's needed to actually get something off the ground or get something really moving. And that's going to serve you well as well. But you're being invited to make sure that you return back to what it is that you love about this. You know, it's almost like having to rediscover your passion or desire for something, but that also includes relationships too, right? So if you have been really struggling with somebody, you know, perhaps more than one person during this kind of Venus retrograde, you're also gonna make these decisions, you know, where you want to continue to have this person in your life, you know, and almost like having to go back to the beginning and saying, what was it about this energy, about this person, about this relationship that is so important and so special to me. And I think that's where you really start to see the shift. So there's this beautiful awakening moment in terms of the way that you're dealing with your own thought forms, okay? Starting to feel more in control of them, giving yourself the time and space and energy that you need to be able to synthesize information, and then really, you know, see where that fits for the bigger picture for you. This beautiful card of shift is showing me there's a vulnerability, actually. You know, when I see this sort of naked form here, and also that's depicted in the card of ARIES as well. So there's almost this quality of you either feeling very vulnerable or kind of needing to be vulnerable and maybe a bit open with yourself or someone else with how you feel, okay? With that Ace of Cups coming through, perhaps it is this earth sign, or you know, that's the one who's coming forward to you. But there's also a lot of lilac and purple colour shown through this, which for me is really linking into your spirituality as well, really helping to activate that third eye, open up your crown chakra, and help you to receive information at the right time through this month, so that you can know when to step forward and actually when to withdraw. And I think that's going to be really important. The reason I say that is I think that as we see perhaps some chaos or some carnage that is set to be certainly around you, and you don't really want to get caught up in the middle of it, I think intuitively you're just going to know it's time for me to kind of just step back or step to the side from this, okay? Or actually just to help you make decisions about what you want to clear out of your life, or maybe not responding or coming back to particular messages or communication. I think that's going to be important. I also see a more positive shift in finances and stability coming through, but it also needs you to make necessary adjustments, okay? There's something about the change that you are going to make personally that can really influence what things look like over the next 3 months at least. So your moon is take time to breathe out. Okay, so you do have this withdrawal energy, 4 of Swords, Temperance, 4 of Cups. What do you need to step back from, Aries? That's what I want to say. What do you need to step back from? I also think, you know, this card is very blue in nature. So again, we're kind of linking into our throat chakra. Very aligned with that Gemini energy, 3rd house, ruler of communication. And so I think you're going to be pondering what you need to say to a particular person and how you want to say it. And I think that there may even be a moment, perhaps particularly around that lunar eclipse with Sagittarius, where things might tumble out that, you know, on reflection, you are going to think, I should have said or done that in a different way, or perhaps that's energy that's going to be coming towards you, Aries. If that is the case, I want you to look at it as just like a really beautiful opportunity for review, to then figure out, okay, if that's not the way I want to express myself moving forward, it's not how I want to communicate, it's not how I want to be when I'm in this relationship, then what is it that I need to change? What is it that I need to look at? Remember, as we move into Cancer season and it's 4th house energy, it's very much about the internal emotional landscape. It's where you feel safe. It's what you need for that emotional security. And so I think you're really coming to terms with that in quite a powerful way as you return home to the self. You know, all of this energy is inviting you to come back home and take all of that information about the relationships that are around you and all of the ways that they're triggering and mirroring things back to you. And remember, we're not just talking about relationships with people, we're talking about relationships with money. It's an energy. We're talking about, you know, our relationship to our health and well-being, to the environment with which we move in, you know. 3rd house is all about that immediate environment. 4th house about that home where we work. So lots of thinking about and planning and considering changes that might be on the horizon for you, or certainly where you want to make a change. But but you need time to be able to kind of almost expel any anxious energy, any of that scattered energy, anything that's kind of feeling heavy or too onerous at the moment. And I feel like you're going to get time to do that, or you're going to be invited to make time to do it, because that's going to be what's going to keep you sane through this month of June with all of this changeable energy. And remember, at times we're going to have to ride the waves a little bit, although your reading for me does feel a little bit more earthy and grounded comparative to some of the ones that I've done this month. So Aries, I hope that's given you some insight for this month ahead. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel and supporting me. If you'd like to join me for the extended reading, we're going to go ahead and pull some additional clarifying cards. You can find the link for the extended reading in the description box underneath the video, or over on my website, romywyser.com. This is a general reading, Aries, but if you have a specific question that's not come out, please think about it now. I'm going to pull us a couple of cards and we'll cover this off in the extended. Okay, so just focus on that now for me. Perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these main spreads for us now. So just starting out with that Five of Swords energy. Okay, card of Strength coming through, which is also indicative of the sign of Leo, but certainly a situation where there has been a setback or there is some kind of disappointment. You are having to be strong. Again, Four of Swords coming up here. Perhaps taking time to step back and almost lick your wounds, so to speak, you know, just like gather your energy, call it back into yourself. It's going to be important. Okay, Two of Wands bringing through the Knight of Swords, so it could be an air energy, Gemini, even Aries, Aquarius rather, or Libra. Often denotes somebody coming back from the past as well, yeah, so you might well be dealing with that. Another Knight coming through here, Knight of Wands. And the Chariot. Okay, there's a lot of movement coming up, which is really interesting with the clarifiers. This is why it's so good for us to do these extended readings, because it gives us so much more of a context about what's coming. So even though a lot of your energy here is showing as quite quiet, quite withdrawn, the influences that are coming towards you are much more chaotic, much more speedy, and a little bit disruptive in some instances, which is probably why you're needing that time. Okay, Queen of Wands here could be a fire sign. Okay, so Two of Coins, Four of Coins coming up. You're definitely looking in and around finances, just trying to weigh things up, make the right decisions for you. Okay, but Empress coming through. Yeah, card of Temperance is a beautiful energy I feel for you this month, Aries, really supportive. Okay, so Devil is sometimes linked into Capricorn energy, but you know, again with that Three of Swords and the Devil, it is about the thoughts that we're thinking, you know, and where we're holding pain, where we feel in bondage, where we feel that we're somehow being held back, or there's resistant energy. We'll go into that in a bit more detail. Okay, card of the Lovers coming through with Gemini and Eight of Cups. So choices and decisions, whether to stay, whether to go. There's definitely some signs of an earth energy who wants either a fresh start or to present something to you. Oh, I love this Judgment and Full energy coming out for you. Yeah, this offer from this, and it might not be earth, you know, it's just I think someone that's coming forth in quite a strong, assertive way. Okay, Aries, if you would like to join me to go into this in a bit more detail, I look forward to continuing this with the extended. Otherwise, thanks so much for taking the time to tune in, and I wish you bright blessings for this month ahead.